Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're about to have our next class. Welcome to DNA Day, hosted by Roots Tech in partnership with the Family Search Library. My name is Debbie Gertler, and I will be moderating today's webinar. This session is How to Maximize Your DNA Test Results by Tanner Tolman. We are glad you could join us. Before we get started, we have a couple of housekeeping items. Today we'll be presenting a total of 5 classes. They are being live streamed on the Roots Tech website and Facebook, as well as the Family Search Library Facebook page. You will be able to see a recording of these classes once the live stream ends. Each of our presenters will be answering questions at the end of each presentation as time allows. Please post your questions in the chat or comment section, and we will pass those questions along to the presenter at the end of the class. If you need help with a specific DNA research problem, we encourage you to sign up to meet one-on-one with one of our research specialists in a free 20-minute virtual consultation or a 40-minute consultation if it's DNA related. Just go to the Family Search Library's website at familysearch.org/library and click Research Help. All handouts for these presentations can be found on the Roots Tech website on the DNA Day page. Now let me introduce the presenter for this class. Tanner Tolman is a whiz with DNA. That's not in his bio, but that's just my thoughts. Tanner Tolman is accredited through the International Commission for the Accreditation of Professional Genealogists, otherwise known as ICAPGen, for research in the Denmark region. He has a deep passion for both Scandinavian and DNA research and works full-time as a research specialist here at the Family Search Library in Salt Lake City, Utah. Tanner also serves as the second vice president of the Utah Genealogical Association and as a co-administrator of the Yeoman's Y-DNA Surname Project. He enjoys family history, Palpatine, bacon burgers, and Venusaur, but most of all enjoys playing with his wife and 3 small children. We'll turn the time over to Tanner now. Enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. So this class, I've designed it. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Really, the target audience is for somebody who has either taken a DNA test or is thinking about doing it, but you don't know what to do after that. So if you do the things that I suggest in this class, your DNA is going to be much more valuable to both yourself and your close friends and family, and also your DNA matches who you may not know. So the first thing that you want to do is create your family tree. So I'm going to show you a slide, and think about this. Let's say that you are a DNA match to me, and you see that I have a tree provided on Ancestry, so you click on it to see how we're related. How helpful is this tree? Now, how helpful is this tree? I think this tree is somewhat okay. You could use the names that are provided. If you're lucky enough to be related on one of those 2 lines, you could look them up in Family Search and other sources and build them out. And if not, you may have to do some more advanced research to figure out who their spouses were and then build out their trees as well. Now, how helpful is this tree? This is the one that this is where I think the sweet spot is. I've provided the names of my earliest deceased ancestor on all lines. And all of these people were alive as of the 1950 census. And so you could either do your own research or check to see if there's other stuff on MyHeritage or Family Search and try and find a common ancestor between you and me. Now, because I am a professional genealogist, I have gone back another generation on this, and I would recommend you do so if you're comfortable with it. But if you're new to using technology and creating a tree, at least just try to go back to somebody who's deceased that you can find on the censuses before 1950. And that's going to allow Ancestry's Throughline tools and also your DNA relatives to be able to figure out the common ancestor. So when you create a tree, please go back to the first deceased person on each line. Living people can only be seen by you. And so that in that first example where I just had me and my parents, I can actually see their names, but you can't, your DNA matches can't. And so they're not going to benefit from it. So how do we create a tree? So you come here into ancestry.com and you click on the button up here that says trees. Now, after you click that, it's going to give you this drop down and you're going to come to create and manage trees. And then finally, you have these three options right here. You can either upload a GEDCOM. A GEDCOM is a tree file. It's a computerized version of your family tree that is accepted by all the major genealogical companies. Or if you don't have one of those, but you are on Family Search, you can import up to the first 5 generations from Family Search. Or you can just create a new tree from scratch and just start filling in the names here with the final option. Any of it works. One thing I do want to point out is please mark people, if you know they're dead, mark them as deceased, even if you don't know the date. It's okay to have the date blank, but if you don't mark them as deceased, even if they have a birth year where it would be obvious that they are dead, such as in the 1800s, Ancestry is going to assume they're alive unless you specifically check that box. And if that happens, then nobody's going to be able to see their information except for you. And so it's really not helping anything. Also, please only put your genetic ancestors in your tree. This tree, you're going to link it to your DNA results. And so the purpose of it is to say, you and I share DNA, and these are the ancestors that I inherited DNA from. So maybe you have a situation in your home such as you have a biological father and also a stepfather. And maybe the biological father was a jerk and wanted nothing to do with you, but the legal stepfather is the one that that raised you and loved you, and that's whose ancestors you're interested in building out their trees. That is fine. You can have more than one tree on Ancestry. And in that case, I would have 2 trees. However, the tree that you link to your DNA, put your jerk biological father. Because you are going to have half of your DNA matches are going to be related to your biological father. And they're going to be second and third and fourth and fifth cousins that are probably really nice and are just trying to solve their own research problems. And so even if you don't know very much about the man other than his name, that's going to help them, find the right path to find the common ancestor between you and them to solve their own problems. So still have your own stepdad in a separate tree that you can use the record hints and things like that to build it out. So how do you link your tree to your DNA? So you're going to come and click on if you have a picture, it'll show your face here, but for most people, it usually just shows their initials. But you're going to click on this little circle in the top right corner, and it brings this drop down, and one of them is account settings. And a lot of the things we're going to talk about in this early part of the presentation are found here. So go ahead and click on account settings. And then you're going to click on DNA over on the left. Now it's going to show you all the DNA tests you own at the top and then tests that have been shared with you by others. Most people are only going to own their own DNA test. The exception to that is if you have also tested one of your minor children, they will also show up here. But click on the test that's your own. And then you are going to scroll down to link tree and see where it says no link tree. That is what we're going to fix right now. So you go ahead and click on that, and you're going to select the tree that you would like, again, the biological tree. And then once you select it, you need to tell Ancestry who you are in the tree. It does not assume that you are just the home person. So you have to actually type in your name, and what that does is that links your tree to your DNA results. Now, Once you do that, you want to check back in about a day or so, because Ancestry uses that information to create some pretty cool stuff for you. What it does is it's going to scan your tree and compare it to the trees of all of your DNA matches. And it's going to try and find a common ancestor. Now, this common ancestor is only going to be as good as the trees are. So if the trees are wrong, it may find the wrong ancestor. Another reason why you want it to be strictly a biological tree, in case your stepfather happens to have some relationship to some of these DNA matches in another way, it's going to start, if you link to him, it's going to find those connections and they're going to be erroneous. But since I've linked my tree and this match Dale has also linked his tree, Ancestry has said we have found the common ancestor. So if you click on the match, it shows you his tree. And over here on the left, it says, we think Dale is your great granduncle through Harvey and Annie Olson. You can go ahead and click on that, and it shows you the exact path between you and them. And then you can go ahead and verify that the information is correct. And in this case, it is. The other thing you want to do besides linking your tree is I would recommend that you share your DNA with people that you are comfortable with. Specifically, Ancestry allows you to share your DNA with your friends and family members. This is really valuable because it allows them to see all of your shared matches and not just the common ones. So perhaps you have grandchildren that you have taken a test and they have taken a test. And you may be thinking, well, why do I need to actually share my DNA results with them? Because they can see me on their match list. And clearly it's obvious that we really are grandparent, grandchild. And the reason is it's going to allow your grandchildren to see all of your matches. And so all of the people that you are related to in the Ancestry database, they are also related to, but some of them they might not share any DNA with, simply because you only gave them about a quarter of your DNA and they may be matching on the quarter that you didn't give them. In family tree DNA, I have found that the closest match that my father has that I do not have is a second cousin that shares 102 centimorgans with my dad. But my dad just by coincidence did not give me any of those segments. And so even though that is a really good match and a really helpful match for my research, I can only see them by looking at my father's actual results. The other thing is that you are eventually going to pass away, and this is going to allow your family to continue using your DNA long after you die. In a couple of weeks, it is going to be the 11th year anniversary of when I first purchased a DNA kit. And when I started buying DNA kits in 2014, I was really poor and I was in college and I was eating a lot of rice. But when I realized just how valuable DNA is, I invested in testing myself and everyone in the oldest living generation that was still alive, which was 3 of my grandparents and 1 of my great-grandparents. And since then, my great-grandmother, who I tested, and one of my grandmothers have both passed away. My great-grandmother was born in 1920, so she would be turning 105 this December. And I'm still using her DNA. So her DNA is particularly helpful for me when I research on that line because she's 4 whole generations closer to any of the matches than I am. And so just a couple of months ago, I found a new branch of my family that I didn't know about because she had a 500 centimorgan match that I only share 29 centimorgans with. And so I would never have figured out the connection using my own DNA. But me, as the great-grandchild, I'm still using her DNA and will continue to use her DNA for the rest of my life. So When you share your DNA on Ancestry, there are 3 options. The viewer is somebody who can see your DNA matches, but it's in read-only mode. They cannot edit anything. The collaborator has the ability to put people into groups and add notes. So these are things that you would want to do, especially if you watched Susie's clustering class. You can cluster them. You can also try and make contact with the matches and see if they're willing to respond. The manager, you can only have one manager, and they have all power. They can download your DNA, they can delete your DNA, and they can also invite other people to see it as collaborators and managers and viewers without your knowledge. And so I recommend that you can only have one manager, and I recommend you trust, such as a child or just somebody in your family that is very interested in genealogy. In most cases, if you're choosing to share your DNA, usually collaborator is the right option. So the way you do this is, again, you come up to the top right corner and you click on your face or initials, and you go to account settings, and you come to DNA again. And once again, you click on the test that you own, and you scroll down to the bottom. And this time you're going to click on DNA test sharing. And when you click on that, it shows you everybody that you've already shared your DNA with. And then you have this invite button. So you go ahead and click on that, and you type in their email address or their username. And then you pick the level of access that you want, and then you send an invitation. Again, usually probably collaborator is the right choice. The other thing that you can do on Ancestry is you can designate an heir. So you can pick a child or close relative who is interested in doing genealogy. The advantage to being the heir is they're the ones who are actually going to inherit the account after you die. So the only person more powerful than the manager is the owner. And when you die, they will become the owner. This is actually something you really want to think about. For example, 10 years ago, again, I sent out a DNA test to one of my relatives. And then this relative, they took the test and then they passed away. And after they died, I wanted to resume control of their account so that I could transfer it into some other databases and get more value out of it as a genealogist. It was surprisingly difficult to get their DNA. Even though I had paid for the test and they were dead, I had to basically, this was with 23andMe, where I had to send in their proof that they had died and proof that they did not specify who should get their DNA in their will. I also had to get their closest living relative, which happened to be her sister. So I had to prove that she didn't have any living children. And then I had to get her sister to send in her birth certificate and her deceased sister's birth certificate and her driver's license, and sign a form saying that she was willing to let me inherit the DNA. And it took quite a long time to go through this process. And so instead of doing that, just go ahead and designate an heir now. So the way you do that is you come to account information, and you're going to scroll down to legacy contact. And you're going to type in their name and their email. And I also learned while preparing this class, you should probably notify them first that you're doing it because they're going to get an email. And I, while creating this class, decided to make my wife my legacy heir for now. And it really freaked her out to get this email saying, you get to inherit your husband's DNA when he dies. Okay, so the other thing you can do is transfer your DNA. So all of the companies create a file, it's called a raw data file, that records what genes you had. Because really computers don't use spit. So you spit in the tube or you do the cheek swab, and then the lab figures out what SNPs you have and basically creates a text file. And then that text file is securely uploaded from the lab to the company's database, and then it's compared to everyone else in the database, and that's how they create your list of genetic relatives and every other report that they give you. Because it's your DNA, you have the right to download this file, and then you can transfer it for free into some of the other databases. This is really beneficial because the other companies all have exclusive DNA matches and tools that you will only find with them. So there are a lot of places that you can put your DNA. We're not going to talk about all of them today. I'm happy to answer questions about any of them in the Q&A session if anyone has anything about something I don't mention in this class. But kind of the mainstream big three ones that I recommend are MyHeritage, GEDmatch, and Family Tree DNA. So the way you download your DNA is, again, you're going to come to this DNA settings page, click on your test, and you're going to scroll down. And this time you're going to click on download DNA data. Now you have to check the little box that says you understand that it's no longer being secured by just Ancestry, and then click continue. And then you're going to get an email sometime within the next 24 hours, typically, with a link to download the file. And the reason they do it this way is if a hacker were to get into your Ancestry DNA account somehow, they cannot steal your raw data unless they also somehow hacked your email. So you're going to get an email with a link. It seems like if you sit around and wait for it, it takes a really long time. And then if you decide to go do some other task, it comes in 5 minutes. It's going to be a zip file. You don't have to unzip it, but you can. If you unzip it, this is what you're going to see. So this is my own raw data. I love these things. I could talk all day about them. Basically over here, this RS number, this is just the name of the SNP. And then this is telling you what chromosome it's on and where on the chromosome, and then what values you have, A, C, T, or G. So you're going to have 2 of those. You don't need to worry about the science of this thing. The computers are able to analyze and read this thing very quickly. The way that I want you to think about this record is this is a genealogical record. And if you understand that that is my view towards raw data files and DNA, then I think a lot of what I'm explaining to do and my viewpoints about DNA will make a lot of sense. Just in case anybody is wondering, my opinion is that you should keep your DNA in 23andMe if it's there. Just again, because your DNA is a genealogical record and you never know who it's going to help. I cannot bring back the 1890 census. But this is a record that I can control if it's destroyed or not, and I don't want it destroyed. So that is just my personal opinion. Okay, so places to put your DNA. The first one that we're going to talk about is MyHeritage. It makes sense to put it in MyHeritage before Family Tree DNA, and I'll show you why. So the way MyHeritage works, and also the way Family Tree DNA works, is you can upload your DNA for free, and you can also upload your tree for free. The reason this is free is because this benefits the company. They want their own company to grow, and so that helps them. Typically then, you can look at your matches for free, and then if you want to use some of their more advanced tools, they both charge a one-time unlock fee. I think it's $29 on MyHeritage. I think it's $19 on Family Tree DNA, and it goes on sale sometimes. But even if you don't use those tools, I would still recommend doing the free upload. MyHeritage has 9.2 million people in the database right now. That is about 1/3 of what is in Ancestry's database, and there is a lot of overlap. But there are also a lot of unique test takers in MyHeritage. It is actually the best-selling kit in Europe. And so whenever I'm doing research on my German line or my Danish lines, this is where I tend to find the right matches that are going to be helpful for me. These are some tools that you can get on MyHeritage. The chromosome browser with triangulation and the auto clusters, neither one of those you can get on Ancestry. You can also invite one collaborator on your DNA on MyHeritage, and it works very similar to the collaborator on Ancestry. The downside is it's only just the one collaborator at a time. So I hope they make it in the future so that you can add more. Now with MyHeritage, the way it's set up, it's actually slightly easier to upload your tree before your DNA. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. You're going to come into your tree and you're going to click on tree settings. And then you're going to click on manage your DNA. And there's this export tree button way down here at the bottom. And that is going to create a GEDCOM of everything you've created in Ancestry. Once you've done that, you want to go to MyHeritage and sign up for a free account. And then you're going to come and click on Family Tree, and you're going to click on Import GEDCOM. And then you're going to click the orange button, and you're going to upload the file that you just took from Ancestry, and it creates a family tree for you exactly the same as your Ancestry one. Now, once you've done that, you come over and you click on DNA, and you click on Upload DNA Data. You click the little start button, and then it's going to take you where you fill in your name. And when you type in your name, it is going to search for you in your tree. And so that's why it's easier to upload the tree first, because then it's all just one step. It looks for you as you're uploading, and it automatically links your DNA to the tree for you. Now, just a disclaimer, the processing for MyHeritage is normally about 5 to 7 days. They are extremely backlogged right now. They say it's because they have a large number of autosomal transfers that are happening right now. I don't know the reason for that. It could be because of Roots Tech, that they got a bunch of uploads. It could also be because people panicking and transferring their DNA out of 23andMe into MyHeritage. Either way, I guess it's a good problem for them to have, because it means MyHeritage's database is probably growing really, really large right now. But just so you know, so I have a kit that I uploaded on March 18th. It is now April 25th, and it is still not done. I have also heard of several other people where they've done the same thing, and they are also waiting. So it's going to take a long time with MyHeritage, but I am confident they will do it. And they're probably, their customer support is probably overwhelmed with calls right now saying, where's my DNA results? But you will eventually get them. So once you get your results, MyHeritage does the same thing that Ancestry does, where it compares your tree to the trees of your DNA relatives, and it tries to find the common ancestor for you. Here, it's called their theory of relativity. So this Cora lady is a match to me, sharing 124.8 centimorgans. And if I click on the theory, it shows me exactly how we are related. She is a first cousin to my great-grandfather, and we both descend from Thomas and Martha Vinoy. These are some of the other tools I just want to show you. My favorite tool, personally, on MyHeritage is the chromosome browser. It has a really good triangulation feature, and that helps you figure out if your matches are all related, all descended from the same common ancestor or not. This is an example. This is my DNA compared to my grandmother, and then also compared to this cousin Delta. And there is this spot, grandma is red and Delta is orange, where they are matching. They both match me in the same spot. However, this is not a triangulated segment. If it were, that little square would be highlighted. So what this means is I share DNA with both of them there, but they do not share DNA with each other. And what that means is that they are related on different sides of my family. So Sherry is related to my mom, and Delta is related to my dad. And so things like that can help you figure out the relationship as well. This is an example of where the DNA is triangulated. And so all of these spots where you have this gray bracket around, that means that all three of you share that piece of DNA and all three of you inherited it from the same person. And in this case, that person would be my great-grandmother. The other thing you want to do on MyHeritage is you can actually change your settings. This is another reason to put it in MyHeritage, is you can change your settings so that when somebody messages you on MyHeritage, you actually get an email and then you know to go respond rather than only you have to go check your MyHeritage account every day to see if somebody's messaged you, and there's two-factor authentication on it, so that kind of takes a while. So you're going to come and click on Site Settings, and then you're going to scroll down, and this greetings button that says email me greetings from family members, you want to make sure that box is checked and then save it. And that's how anytime somebody messages you, you're going to actually get a personal email, and then you know to log into your MyHeritage and look at it. Anybody who's been doing lots of DNA research knows that it's quite frustrating to contact DNA matches because most of them don't respond. And so this is a way that you can help change the problem by making sure you're somebody who always responds. Okay, so in order to add a collaborator, you're going to click on Manage DNA Kits, and then you're going to click these three dots, and this is where the Share DNA Results with a Collaborator is going to be. So you click on that, and also if you actually tested with MyHeritage, there will be a button here to download your raw data as well. So if MyHeritage is where you first tested and you want to do everything else in this presentation and move it to their websites, that's going to be here as well. But since mine is an autosomal transfer, that button currently does not show up. But you click on Share Results with the Collaborator, and then you go ahead and you type in their email here, and then they will be given an invitation to accept it. And then if you ever need to, you can remove that and invite somebody else. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about family tree DNA. So also you can upload your DNA for free and look at your results and do most of the things. And then if you want to use their more advanced tools, there's an unlock fee that is $19. They do have a $9 sale right now. But again, whether you do that or not, please just do the free upload and help the database grow. Family Tree DNA and MyHeritage, they actually partner quite a bit. They actually use the same labs. They both use Gene by Genes Labs, which is the owner of Family Tree DNA. So that's one way they partner. And the other way that they partner now is they are both using MyHeritage's tree software. And so that's why it makes sense to just get yourself set up in MyHeritage first. And then you're going to link your DNA on Family Tree DNA to that exact same tree in MyHeritage. Family Tree DNA also has a chromosome browser. And then they have a bucketing feature that is unique to their website, and it's probably my favorite tool on their website. They have 101.6 million people in their database, so it is quite a bit smaller than some of the others. But again, I think that if you buy a DNA test from one company and you transfer it into all the other companies, it's a win for all the companies. So you're going to come to familytreedna.com and you're going to click on Upload DNA Data. And then you are going to fill in your name and your email address, and it's going to assign you a kit number and password, which you can change the password later if you would like. Usually your DNA processes quite a bit faster on Family Tree DNA. It's usually done within a day or two. So once you get your results, you can go ahead and link your kit to your family tree. So you click on Family Tree up in the top, and then it says, hey, you can link your tree, you can link your DNA here to your MyHeritage tree. So you're going to go ahead and click the orange Get Started button. It's going to ask for permission to synchronize the two websites, and you're going to say, I approve. And then in order to complete the process, you're going to have to sign into MyHeritage. So go ahead and do that. And then once you've done that, it's going to bring up all of the different trees that you have on MyHeritage's website, and you're going to pick the one that you want to link to. Again, pick the genetic tree. And then down here, there is this little check marks, and you want to make sure that is clicked What that does is it makes it so that if you ever change your tree in MyHeritage, it updates in Family Tree DNA in real time. So if you choose to add another, say that you break your brick wall and say you add in some new individuals to your tree, that information just automatically goes over on Family Tree DNA's side as well. Once you've linked it, you then have to go into the account settings, and you're going to come over and click on genealogy. And you have to do the same thing. You have to click this link home person and tell Family Tree DNA who you are in the tree. So you click link home person, and then you're going to type in your name, and you're going to pick yourself, and you're going to click this blue button that says link. And then it's set up. Now, once you've done that, it actually adds a really cool feature to Family Tree DNA where you can find a specific relative like this handsome individual over here, and you click this blue button that says link on Family Tree. Now, if you have what you do is if you have the DNA match in your tree, which if you don't have the match in your tree, what you'd do is you'd go to your MyHeritage tree and then add the necessary people so that you have the living tester in your tree, and you go ahead and then link it to them. Once you link it to them, instead of just showing you a range where this could be a first cousin, a second cousin, a third cousin, it tells you the exact relationship. So in this case, it says link as a first cousin twice removed. And then the reason you want to do that is once you've linked it, this is the bucketing feature that Family Tree DNA has. It is going to scan the database for anybody that matches you and them. So in this case, anybody that matches the test taker, Annette, and the DNA match, which is myself. And it says, okay, based on the tree, Tanner is a maternal relative of Annette. And so anybody who shares DNA with Annette and Tanner is also probably a maternal relative of Annette as well. And so then it puts this little pink female restroom symbol next to all of those DNA matches. And in this case, it was able to identify 77 people that it now knows are related on the maternal side. I have found that you only have to do this with a couple close matches, like a first cousin or two on each side. And then it's sorted all, if not almost all of your matches, paternal and maternal. So it's a really cool feature that they have. On Family Tree DNA, you can assign a kit manager. It's a little bit different on Family Tree DNA. The kit manager, you would have to share your password with them for them to actually be able to log in and see stuff. But the kit manager has the right to talk to Family Search customer service on your behalf. You also can designate a beneficiary, and this is the person who is going to inherit ownership of your DNA after you pass away. Again, if you tested with Family Tree DNA and you want to upload it into MyHeritage or GEDmatch, you're going to click on Results and Tools, Autosomal DNA, and click on this Download DNA button. In the past, they've had multiple different options here, which was confusing to people. The one you want is the one that says build 37 concatenated raw data. And that is really just a fancy way of saying, do you want all the chromosomes, including the X chromosome? So that is the one you pick if it gives you multiple choices. And then you can upload that file into the other sites as well. Okay, so GEDmatch, they have a lot of tools. They have a database about the same size as Family Tree DNA's. I think it's about 1.5, 1.6 million. And there's a lot of tools on here that tend to overwhelm people. For right now, I just want to teach you how to upload your DNA and how to link your tree. You can create a free account with GEDmatch, and you can upload up to 5 kits on it. If you want to upload more than that, then then they have a subscription version and stuff. But for most people, 5 is going to be plenty. So you're going to go ahead and create an account and log in. And then you're going to click on these 3 lines in the top left corner, and you're going to click on Upload DNA. And then you're going to pick the raw data file, and you're going to type in your name, and you can put in an alias if you would like and tell it what company it's from, and then upload it. Typically with GEDmatch, it's available the very next day. They start their uploads, it's about 10 o'clock Mountain Time. Usually the next morning you already have results. Almost nobody on GEDmatch uploads their tree, which is unfortunate because it's actually fairly straightforward to do so. And so you're going to click on this Upload GEDCOM button, and then you're going to type in a name for your GEDCOM. And then again, just with all the other companies, you have this drop down. You're going to pick the kit that you want to link the home person to. So you're going to go ahead and pick yourself. And then what that does is that links your GEDCOM to your tree, to your DNA. And so when you show up on other people's match lists the next day, they can see you, hey, Tanner Tolman's a new match. And then it shows them that you have provided a tree, which they can click on to try and find the common ancestor. And then last, I want to talk about 23andMe. 23andMe was my first love in the DNA company. That was the first company that I was buying DNA kits from. And I was swearing by them that they were my favorite company. And then I started using all the companies. My opinion on them is I think it's still worth having your DNA there at this time. In fact, I just actually upgraded my own 10-year-old sample to their newest Generis chip. And that's just my opinion. 23andMe does not let you upload DNA files from other companies. The only way to get into their database is to test with them. Same with Ancestry. What you can do is you can provide a link to your tree, and you can also change the settings so that other people can send you emails. So what you do is you click on your face or initials in the top right corner. You go to Settings, and then you are going to scroll down to Preferences, and you want to click Edit. And then here on this page, the main thing you want to make sure is checked is messages from other 23andMe users. And what that's going to do is make it so anytime a DNA relative contacts you trying to figure out the common ancestor, you're going to get an email about it. And then the other thing you're going to do is you're going to come to your personal information and scroll down to the bottom, click Edit, and then scroll down to the bottom. And you can fill all this out. But the most important thing is share a link to your online family tree. And so in my case, I just provided a link to my tree on Ancestry. And so if anybody sees me on 23andMe, they can click there to try and find the common ancestor. So I'll show you what that looks like. So this is my grandmother's DNA kit. And it says she is predicted to be your grandmother on your mother's side. And if you scroll down, I've put on her profile where all of her grandparents were born, which was Utah, and I've listed her family surnames. And then down here on hers, I've actually linked to my MyHeritage tree. But then anyone can just click on it, and they can see exactly who the common ancestor is. And then with 23andMe, like all the other companies, you have the right to download your raw data if you tested with them. And so what you want to do is in the top search bar, just search for download raw, and then it's going to bring up this link. Now for security reasons, they ask you to type in your birth date, and then it brings you to this page where you can request it. And then it takes a couple of days with them now. So I just requested mine on April 22nd. They'll probably be here in a day or two. But no matter which company you test with, you have the right to get this file, and then you can upload it to all the other genealogical databases that will accept it. So thank you, everyone, for joining me for this presentation. I'm happy to answer questions now if there are any. And thank you so much for being here.
Okay, that was great, Tanner. I really enjoyed it. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just great.
Perfect. So first question comes from Lori Ann. She's watching on the Roots Tech page. She says, my father passed away last year. He took a DNA test and is on Ancestry. However, he did not give permissions to anyone in the family for access after his death. Is there any way to gain that access?
Yeah, so that sounds like the situation that I was in. If you have his login info, that's going to be the easiest thing to do, is just sign in as him. Or even if you have the login to his email, then you can do a password reset request, go through his email and then get in that way. If not, you're in the same boat I am, which I went through this process with 23andMe. I didn't go through it with Ancestry, but I assume it's similar. So you're going to have to call Ancestry customer support and say, hi, my dad is this person in your DNA database and he's passed away. What do I need to do to gain access to it? And they're probably going to ask for, proof of your relationship and that you're the next of kin. And then it's probably going to get escalated to their tier 2 support team. And I do believe it is possible for you to get access. I haven't done it with that. I hope I never have to go through that process again. So
sounds like there's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah, it's surprisingly complicated.
Yeah. So we've got another question from Alicia, and she asks, is there a way to manage multiple kits on Family Tree DNA? And then she added some further information. She managed my father's account, but had to make a separate account. He's since passed away. I'd like to upload my mother's kit, but would prefer not to make another account.
Yeah, so with Family Tree DNA, you do have to make a separate account for each kit. There's not really a straightforward way to just manage it all from one account. There is the one thing that you can do is you make an account for each one and you upload it, and then you could create a group project. And most of those group projects are like their surname projects. So the Tolman project, the Yeomans project, the Merritt project. And then you could go in and add each of those projects or each of those kits you manage to the project. And it could just be your own personal little family project. And then that would allow you as the manager of the project to see all of their DNA results from that one account. So
great. A lot of good comments about how nice the presentation was. LM says, now I have to contact my brother to combine his 23andMe results with my heritage ancestry family search. Good to know how to get other searchers to find me by linking DNA sites.
Awesome. To combine his 23andMe results. Yeah. So take your 23andMe and transfer it. You can't transfer it to Ancestry. The only way you can get in their database is to test with them directly. So a lot of times what I would do if I had a really important DNA match is I would test them in both. That's what I've learned to do. My great-grandmother that I talked about, I tested her in 23andMe. And I thought because I did that, I didn't need to also test her in Ancestry. And I've been regretting that. Now that the Ancestry database has exploded, it would be really helpful to have there as well.
Yeah, wow. Cool. All right. I don't see any other questions, so I think we're probably good to go ahead and end it. We're going to take a short break right now, and we're going to get started again at 4 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time. So that's at the top of the hour for those of you that are not in the Mountain Time Zone. And it'll be our final presentation of the day titled Double Trouble, Using DNA to Solve 2 Generations of Adoptions. And this will be given by Daniel Jones. So we'll see you in about, 15 minutes or more, top of the hour, maybe a little less than that. So, yeah, I can't tell time. At the top of the hour. So, thanks for being with us today, by the way. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And don't forget to take the survey, those of you that are watching on whatever platform.